Heatwaves and wildfires in Europe in 2025. Introduction. In the summer of 2025, Europe was gripped by an unprecedented dual climate emergency, record-shattering heatwaves and widespread wildfires. Meteorologists described it as the most severe summer on record, with temperature anomalies surpassing all historical benchmarks. The relentless heat dome, which began forming in late May, ushered in temperatures topping 46 degrees Celsius in places like Mora, Portugal, a new all-time high for June. By mid-June, more than 10 European capitals recorded multiple consecutive days above 40 degrees Celsius, testing infrastructure and emergency services. Across multiple countries, from Spain to Greece, sweltering heat and arid conditions primed forests and grasslands for ignition. Dry vegetation, combined with strong winds, created a dangerous cocktail for fire outbreaks across rural landscapes. As the mercury soared, wildfires erupted in dozens of regions, leaving devastation in their wake. Communities faced rolling blackouts, water shortages, and mass evacuations as authorities struggled to contain the disaster. Health systems were pushed to the brink as hospitals dealt with surging cases of heat stroke, dehydration, and respiratory distress from smoke inhalation. Experts warned that this event marked a dangerous acceleration of climate extremes, signaling a future where such summers may become the norm rather than the exception. The scale of the crisis. By early July, more than 1.8 million hectares of land had burned across the continent, nearly double the annual average recorded over the past decade. Spain and Portugal bore the brunt, with entire villages evacuated and agricultural losses projected to exceed €4 billion. In Greece, flames consumed pine forests near Athens, forcing thousands to flee toward the coast. Italy reported its hottest June on record, while France experienced over 20 consecutive days with temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. Germany faced severe river droughts, with water levels in the Rhine falling so low that shipping routes were disrupted for weeks. Northern Europe, once considered immune, saw Sweden and Finland battling forest fires near the Arctic Circle. Dozens of heat-related deaths were reported across the continent, particularly among the elderly and outdoor workers. Hospitals in Madrid and Rome set up temporary cooling tents to treat heatstroke patients as emergency rooms overflowed. The combined effects of extreme heat, smoke pollution, and water shortages made daily life nearly unrecognizable for millions. Scientific drivers. Experts attribute the crisis to a combination of anthropogenic climate change, atmospheric dynamics, and feedback loops involving soil moisture depletion. The persistent heat dome, an anticyclonic system trapping warm air, amplified ground-level heating and inhibited cloud formation. Compounding the problem, Europe entered the summer with below-average precipitation, leaving vast areas parched. Satellite data revealed soil moisture levels across southern Europe at less than 10% of normal, creating tinderbox conditions. Scientists also note that warmer winters allowed pests like bark beetles to thrive, killing millions of trees and increasing fuel for fires. Ocean temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic contributed to the formation of the heat dome, linking marine and terrestrial heat extremes. Climate scientists warn that such extremes, once deemed rare, are becoming the new normal under a warming planet. If emissions continue unabated, models project that by 2040, summers like 2025 could occur every 2 to 3 years. Government and societal response. Governments across Europe declared states of emergency, mobilizing tens of thousands of firefighters and military personnel. Spain deployed waterbombing aircraft from allied countries under the EU Civil Protection Mechanism. Portugal introduced rolling power cuts to reduce grid strain, while urging citizens to limit water use. In Italy, the government offered financial incentives for farmers to adopt emergency irrigation systems using recycled water. Evacuation shelters were opened in schools and sports halls, where volunteers provided food and medical care. Local communities organized donation drives for displaced families, with grassroots networks proving vital to relief efforts. Firefighters faced extreme challenges, as shifting winds and low humidity made containment nearly impossible. Some regions resorted to controlled burns as a last line of defense, sacrificing smaller areas to prevent megafires. Public health campaigns advised residents to stay indoors and wear masks to avoid smoke inhalation. Despite these measures, criticism emerged over inadequate preparedness and chronic underfunding of climate resilience programs. EU leaders convened emergency summits, pledging new funds for firefighting technology, satellite monitoring, and cross-border coordination. Economic and environmental toll. Preliminary assessments estimate total economic damage surpassing €15 billion, factoring in agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure losses. Tourism hotspots in Spain, Italy, and Greece saw mass cancellations, threatening thousands of seasonal jobs. Hotels in Mediterranean coastal areas reported occupancy rates dropping below 30%, a historic low for peak season. Agricultural output plummeted as olive groves, vineyards, and wheat fields succumbed to drought and flames. In France, wine producers warned of a 40% reduction in harvest, jeopardizing a €1 billion industry. Infrastructure damage included scorched highways, melted railway tracks, and power lines destroyed by fire. Air quality deteriorated dramatically, with particulate matter levels exceeding WHO safety thresholds by tenfold in some cities. Hospitals reported spikes in respiratory illnesses, particularly among children, the elderly, and those with chronic conditions. Biodiversity suffered as fires destroyed critical habitats, including Natura 2000 sites that host endangered species. Marine ecosystems were also impacted as rivers ran dry, reducing freshwater inflows and triggering fish die-offs in coastal lagoons. Experts warn that ecological recovery could take decades, especially for ancient forests and endemic species. Long-term climate implications. The events of the summer of 2025 have reinforced the growing consensus among scientists that Europe is becoming a climate hotspot. Temperatures are rising at nearly twice the global average, creating conditions that foster both prolonged heat waves and severe droughts. Climate models had long predicted these scenarios, but the rapid pace of change has outstripped previous forecasts. The 2025 crisis serves as a wake-up call, highlighting the urgency of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and investing in resilience strategies. Without significant intervention, scientists warn that similar or worse summers could occur every 2 to 3 years by the 2030s. This trajectory would have cascading consequences for agriculture, energy systems, public health, and biodiversity across the continent. Many experts argue that adaptation alone will not suffice, emphasizing that mitigation must remain the cornerstone of climate policy. Decarbonizing transportation, scaling up renewable energy, and enforcing stricter building codes to reduce heat exposure are seen as urgent priorities. At the same time, governments are urged to rethink land management practices, particularly in fire-prone Mediterranean regions. Abandoned agricultural lands and poorly managed forests have amplified wildfire risks, demanding integrated solutions combining ecology and economics. Global lessons and future outlook. The European experience of 2025 resonates beyond its borders, offering lessons for countries worldwide confronting similar challenges. Regions such as California, Australia, and South America have long battled wildfires and extreme heat, but the scale seen in Europe underscores the universality of the crisis. International cooperation on climate adaptation, from shared firefighting resources to data-driven early warning systems, is becoming increasingly essential. The European Union's call for a climate security pact reflects growing recognition that unchecked warming threatens geopolitical stability. Moreover, the economic cost of inaction is mounting. The 2025 disasters alone are estimated to have cost over €120 billion in damages and lost productivity. The future outlook remains challenging, but experts stress that proactive measures can still avert the worst outcomes. By coupling rapid emissions reductions with bold adaptation efforts, Europe and the world can navigate toward a safer, more sustainable trajectory. 单字说明 Heatwave 热浪 Heatwave. The country experienced a severe heatwave, forcing schools and offices to close. 该国遭遇严重热浪，迫使学校与办公室关闭。Many elderly people suffered during the prolonged summer heatwave in southern Europe. 许多年长者在南欧漫长的夏季热浪中受苦。The unexpected heatwave caused electricity demand to soar beyond previous records. 突如其来的热浪导致电力需求飙升超越以往纪录。Wildfire 野火 Wildfire. The wildfire spread quickly across the dry forest, endangering nearby communities. 野火迅速蔓延干燥森林，威胁附近社区。Firefighters battled day and night to contain the massive wildfire in California. 消防员日夜奋战，控制加州的大规模野火。The wildfire destroyed thousands of homes, leaving many families displaced. 野火摧毁数千间住宅，使许多家庭流离失所。Meteorologist 气象学家 Meteorologist. The meteorologist predicted heavy rainfall followed by a severe thunderstorm. 气象学家预测，随后将出现强烈雷雨天气。Meteorologists warned that a strong hurricane could reach the coastline tomorrow. 气象学家警告一场强飓风可能明天抵达海岸。The meteorologist explained how climate change influences global weather patterns. 气象学家解释气候变迁如何影响全球天气模式。Relentless 无情的，持续不断的。Relentless. The relentless sun scorched the land, leaving crops completely destroyed. 无情的烈日灼烧大地，使农作物全毁。She faced relentless pressure at work, causing extreme stress and exhaustion. 她面临持续不断的工作压力，造成极度疲惫。The relentless rain continued for days, flooding streets and homes badly. 持续不断的豪雨连日降下，淹没街道与房屋。Respiratory 呼吸的 Respiratory. The wildfire smoke caused serious respiratory problems among local residents. 野火烟雾导致当地居民出现严重呼吸问题。Doctors warned that respiratory infections increase during colder winter months. 医生警告，呼吸道感染在寒冷冬季更常见。The patient needed a respiratory machine to support normal breathing. 患者需要呼吸机来维持正常呼吸。Distress 窘迫、痛苦。Distress. The refugees showed visible distress after fleeing the wildfire zone. 难民在逃离野火区后表现出明显痛苦。Her sudden distress during the exam alarmed both teachers and classmates. 她在考试中的突然痛苦惊动了老师和同学。Financial distress forced the company to declare immediate bankruptcy protection. 财务困境迫使公司宣布立即破产保护。Anthropogenic 人为的 Anthropogenic. Scientists confirmed that anthropogenic emissions cause rapid global temperature increases. 科学家确认人为排放导致全球气温快速上升。Anthropogenic factors, such as deforestation, worsen climate change impacts severely. 人为因素，如森林砍伐，严重加剧气候变迁影响。The report linked extreme floods to anthropogenic activities altering natural systems. 报告将极端洪水与改变自然系统的人为活动联系起来。Precipitation 降水量 Precipitation. Annual precipitation in the region dropped significantly over the last decade. 该地区近10年年降水量显著下降。Heavy precipitation caused widespread flooding in several low-lying neighborhoods. 强降雨导致数个低洼地区广泛淹水。Scientists monitor precipitation levels to understand climate variability better. 科学家监测降水量以更好了解气候变化。Tinderbox 火药桶，随时可能爆发的局势。Tinderbox. The dry forest became a tinderbox after weeks without rainfall. 连续数周无雨后，干燥森林成为火药桶。Political tensions turned the city into a dangerous tinderbox of unrest. 政治紧张使城市成为危险的动荡火药桶。The abandoned building filled with gas tanks was a tinderbox. 充满瓦斯桶的废弃建筑就是一个火药桶。Abated. 减弱的，缓和的。Abated. The storm finally abated, leaving clear skies across the region. 风暴终于减弱，留下晴朗天空。Her pain abated after taking the prescribed medication from her doctor. 服用医生开的药后，她的疼痛减轻了。The protest abated as police increased their security presence downtown. 随着警方加强市中心的保全力量，抗议活动逐渐平息。Suffice. 足够。Suffice. A single glass of water will suffice to take this medication. 一杯水就足够服用这种药物。Simple words will suffice to explain the concept to young children. 简单的字词足以向小孩解释这概念。This amount of money will suffice for our travel expenses. 这笔钱足以支付我们的旅费。Mitigation. 缓和，减轻。Mitigation. The government invests heavily in flood mitigation and coastal defenses. 政府在防洪与海岸防御的缓和措施投入大量资金。Mitigation of climate change requires global cooperation and urgent actions. 气候变迁的缓和需要全球合作与紧急行动。Engineers designed buildings with earthquake mitigation systems for safety. 工程师设计了具备地震缓和系统的建筑。
谢谢观看本影片，如果您觉得这部影片对您有帮助，敬请订阅、按赞、分享、开启小铃铛。
See you next time.